All right, another kind of chord that's really important to learn how to play is what we call a slash chord. It's like when you see G/D or D/A or D/F sharp or something like that. And basically what's happening is we're switching notes in the bass. So I'll show you just a couple of typical kind of open chords that you'll see a lot. So let's say we were doing something like Highway to Hell. So we're going... Notice how I'm playing D, but I'm bringing my thumb over and I'm adding F sharp. See how cool that sounds? It's a very common sound that you hear. But some other things that you hear too are dissension slash chords. So let's say I was playing C, and then I go to this. And then A minor. So I'm using that B in the center. And we'll see that a lot on G too. See how I went from G to F sharp up here? And then A minor. Now when I do that, oftentimes I'm killing the string underneath wherever the movement is happening. So if I'm doing C, and then I go to the B, I'm killing the fourth string underneath. So there's not a lot of conflict. You could leave it open if you like the sound of it, and it might work perfectly. I'm just telling you that sometimes that's what I'll do. So if I go to G, and I go to this F sharp, I'll probably kill that fifth string underneath to make that transition. So this is where you hear a lot of things like... And notice how many different ways I could approach this. I mean, I'm doing A minor, and then I'm adding G with my pinky. Now I got to get up to the F sharp, so I might just take this middle finger up like this and do it that way. And that might sound cool. Or maybe I go A to G, and when I want to go to that D, that F sharp up there, I might go to this D F sharp that I did in Highway to Hell, and then... So once again, we learn that there's so many different approaches that we can take to these different kind of things. That's half the job, right, for us, is to figure out what's the best way of approaching this, okay? So slash chords are really important. Now, you'll also see slash chords in power chords, very common. So let's say I was doing a D, and I wanted to do something like this. I'm going to take my first finger and move it down. Now, you'll notice I'm only playing a two-finger power chord. Right? So if I went... Now how does that go? Something like that, right? So I'm dropping my first finger back one, which is another reason why I wind up using the pinky a lot, because it's just more comfortable for me to play that than that, because my hands are small. So that's just, maybe that's another reason why I use my pinky a lot too, is to set myself up in case that would happen. But we hear that a lot. Now here's the problem. If I was to play this as a three-finger power chord, if you think about it, this note and this note are octaves. So if I play this, and then I move this down, those are going to clash with each other. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that it's going to give you a different kind of sound. It's going to be less hard rock and more kind of colorful. You see? And if you don't want that color, you'd have to move both of those notes down to stay consistent with each other. So there what I did was I moved, so they're both, here's a 7 and here's a 9, they're octaves. So if I move this down to 6, I use my middle finger to play the 8. You see? Or I just bypass the third note at all. I don't even play it, and I just... and then do all the other things I want to do. So that's another great way of approaching a slash chord from a guitar player's perspective. Okay? There's one other embellishment I want to show you that's super cool, especially if you like, Black Sabbath style stuff, heavier stuff, things like that, which is playing a 5th string power chord, but adding the 6th string on top of it, which gives you this super fat sound. So let's say I was playing a C power chord here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first finger, I'm going to press over the 6th string, and I get these nice fat chords. I'm going to add a little more distortion here. You see, it sounds pretty cool. So just being aware of all these different kinds of cool things that you can do and that you will witness as you're learning songs and things like that. So think about that a little bit, practice these things, have some fun, and get creative.